Thanks very much for joining us here for WPG 2023. We are delighted to welcome WPG alumni Heigo Rosin from Estonia. Heigo, thanks so much for joining us today.
Oh, thanks for having me. It's absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, no, it's great to have you, and it's amazing to catch up a little bit just before this stream. I haven't seen you for quite a long time, so and hopefully that changes at some point. But I didn't know if you could maybe just sort of introduce yourself, maybe talk a little bit about yourself and your background. I know you're into sort of martial arts as well, and that sort of has quite a big bearing on sort of your approach to percussion as well. So I didn't know if you could maybe just have a few minutes just to talk about that.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm working and living in Tallinn mostly right now. I have double bachelor, double masters from Tallinn Estonian Academy of Music and Royal Academy of Music in Antwerp, plus soloist diploma from Danish Royal Academy in Aarhus. And now I'm doing actually my doctorate in Tallinn again in Estonian Academy of Music and Theatre. And I'm on my third year, so 1 year to go.
Yeah, great.
And in a month or so, I'm having my third doctoral concert as well. So, and I have sort of developed or worked with martial arts quite a long time. I've done like 12 years karate, 2 years aikido, 1 year tai chi. I'm actually not doing that anymore because around 2008, I actually broke my menisc pretty badly. And I mean, I actually continued after that for a few years, but then I stopped because I was just a tiny bit afraid that if something happens again, then playing and performing with percussion might be an issue. So I stopped with that. But I still do training. So I'm running, I'm cycling, gym. So it's that's how it is. But I mean, I still use lots of these martial arts basics and movements and even philosophy in that sense while playing percussion. So I mean, if you have any questions or problems even, then just ask, and I'm happy to answer if I can.
Yeah, fantastic. Are you still doing your daily planks?
Not every day, but yeah.
That was one of the regimes of WPG 2016. We had like a professional physical coach before every day's sessions. I think I lasted about 1 day, if I remember rightly.
Yeah, 30, more or less. So. Yeah. you gave up pretty fast. Yeah.
That's the Brits for you. Okay. Yeah, great. All right. Well, so today we're just going to have a little bit of percussive action. We've got some duet action with Andrew Norton and Ryan Bond. Ryan, I'm sure you can talk about the duo and yourself a little bit. Sadly, Andrew can't join us today. Our wishes are with him, but I know, Ryan, you're going to hold the fort for him and showcase what you guys have been up to. So we have some duo action. Ryan's also going to do a vibe solo, and then sandwiched between is the very capable Hunter, who's going to be doing some bark as well. And just as a little exercise, I'm actually going to let Hunter run this stream today. So thank you for stepping up for that, Hunter. I appreciate it.
Of course.
So I'll leave it to you now. And if you want to, Ryan, if you want to maybe talk a little bit about your duo and the piece that you're playing, and then you can take it from there. Cool.
Go for Ryan.
All right, I'm Ryan Bond. Nice to meet you. Andrew and I are both students at the University of Nevada, Las Vegas. We're grad students doing our doctorate, and we just wanted to find a couple pieces that we could play through that could really do more of a duo, because we either do a lot of large ensemble or a lot of solo repertoire. So we found this As One by Gene Kaczynski, and as the title is, we're trying to play as one unit, one individual, one being one person, as you want to put it. So This piece, we definitely loved it. It's got a great balance of some mallets and some multi-percussion.
Awesome. And do you want to play I know it's about 5 minutes. You want to play the whole thing?
Sure.
I think we have time, so let's do it
as well. Yeah. All right. Sounds good. Here we go. Nice job, Ryan and Andrew. Amazing. Love that piece so much, and you guys played it beautifully. So, yeah, I'll let Heigo, if you want to go for it, I'll give you guys 20-ish minutes or so. But I'll let y'all do your thing, and I'll pop back in whenever it's kind of time to wrap up. So.
Okay, cool. So I actually have the note, and it's full of ideas. I mean, in general, fantastic job. Yeah, it's. I would say it's an easy idea in a way, but to play it together, really, that's something to really work. Do I see only myself? Oh, actually, you are over there as well. Okay, cool. You're just behind the WPG sign. Okay, but in general, of course, it would probably sound even better if you would learn it by heart. But I mean, I have no idea how much time did you have, and it's possible to play it from the score as well. No worries. So a few things I wrote down in the score for myself. The very beginning, I think you can be even better together with the first beat, and in order to do that, it's always great just to breathe. Just breathe together. Think like 1, 2, 3, and then you are absolutely together. It works every single time. Then the first repeat for 4 bars. The first repeat was great, but the second repeat I felt a bit that it's not totally in rhythm. Did you feel that as well, or it's only me? Yeah. So just be really careful. I really loved how you actually built it up. That it's very nicely understandable what's the rhythm exactly. But second time it sort of I lost it in a way. Then when the percussion comes in at in bar 8, then it says only actually mezzo forte. I think it's a bit too loud. Just to build it up for later, and it's also, I think, balance wise it's a bit better if it's not that loud, so the marimba comes out as well. It can be on top of marimba, of course, because it's a sort of a new layer that comes in, but I would still keep it a tiny bit down. It comes out anyways. I mean, splash cymbal and bongos, come on. Anyways, it comes out. Then part 23, you have this. You were player 2, right? Am I correct? Yes. So player 1 has accents, and you have 2 16s on some toms, I think. So the 16s were a tiny bit too fast for me, and I would just build towards the bongo like a then it structures it a tiny bit better and gives a better rhythm. Then there are bongo buzzes over here. I think they can be a tiny bit longer. This buzz itself, so it just would buzz a bit better then. And I think in order to do that, you shouldn't press that much. Just a tiny bit less, and then it bounces a bit longer. Also, I think I saw the bongos were angled a bit, so that the stick was basically like this. So I think it's better if it's like that, so it bounces a bit better. With an ankle, it doesn't bounce that good. I mean, these are just extremely small details, but I mean, that's why we are here. So. What else? Again, part 29. I've actually written that just keep it down a bit with the drums, and then 2 bars later, 31. Just the triplets really listen to each other. They are just a tiny bit off. I mean, it's a new rhythm, and then you should really take care of it, not to make it too fast. And then. Bar 36, when you have this 16s, it should build towards the bass drum. Really move or or lead your phrase. So a new thing comes, and it's really nice. I mean, there is an accent on everything, basically a downbeat of 37. So really build it up for that. Then 4 bars later, when the bongos come in, I would start basically from nowhere. It's way too loud. Start from the very, very edge. Just it's coming from somewhere really, really, really far away. It's like you would have a volume control with electronics, and then you just add it on. So that should be the feel. It's a tiny detail, but I think it would work really good. And then where are we? 45. Yes. So there is a crescendo on bongos as well with those 16s between you. I would also start really soft and make a really big crescendo, and then it would just make even more effect in that place, because the marimbas do. It's like a train goes, and then there are passengers just moving around and running around it, and it would just give a lot. I mean, next parts as well. For example, the what bar is it? 52 as well. I mean, the first volta and second volta, both exactly the same. And then if after the second volta, that's bar 54, exactly the same. Build it up towards 54, that it's that it's really building towards that. And then, of course, it says as well al niente, which means out of nowhere. Mm-hmm. For me, your out of nowhere was basically mezzo piano, mezzo forte, more or less. So even softer. And this is basically the longest crescendo you have during the whole piece, I think. So really build it up out of nowhere and go really like as loud as you can basically go. So then we come to the second part, which is bar 77. And just before that, for me, I mean, I listened to it many times with the score, and then I just made one playthrough with just watching you, actually. And for me, if you end one part and go to the other one, it feels a tiny bit like too much waving, too much conducting in a way. So there are many possibilities, but one idea would be that you actually make an agreement how many beats is the fermata, because I mean the beat stays the same. It just goes in a 3/8 feeling. So then you can just breathe, like, let's say like two or three beats is the fermata, 1, 2, and you just need a breath, and then you're absolutely together. Because it's, yeah, I mean, you're a percussionist and you can keep tempo. It's all good. And then the last bar of fermata, it really go down with the with those 16s. That's bar 80. Again, really go down. So it's the whole thing actually. I'm just talking right now. It's just to make more difference in dynamics, nothing more. I mean, otherwise it's absolutely fantastic. Then bar 89, I would make much more accents over there, and then go on. And then when the 4/4 comes again, that's bar 92. Again, I would build towards the really go towards that. I mean, I know it's together between you two, and it's it can be difficult a bit. Then 90. So 90. Oh, sorry. So 98 and 99. You should really prepare your bass drum stroke because especially second time, it's a tiny bit early. So it's like 1, 2, 2, da, 2. Really feel it. And then you're there. And then when the marimba comes in again, like bar 110, 111, really, I think it should also come out of nowhere. Because, I mean, the bass drum says, and if marimba comes in, it's hearable anyways. And you can actually, I think you can start a tiny bit softer even, so that you add another layer again, and then you make a really big crescendo. Then bar 118, I think the bass drum should do lots of bigger diminuendo over there. And then the bass again. It should sound until the on rim click. Then I think it works. Yeah, just a tiny bit longer. And then next bar, when there is only marimba, it's 1-to-1. There is a forte piano, and I really would need the piano by tiny bit. This scale. Then 1, 2, 3. It's absolutely fantastic. That worked really good. I mean, rhythmic wise as well. The beginning of 16s didn't work that good, but I mean, the second half of the bar was really nice. Really well together, worked fantastic, and from there on, it was really, really good. 130, I would also do even more piano. It's forte piano, but that it's really effect that you're basically almost silent, and then make a huge crescendo, so that it just blows the whole audience away. This dynamic changes I just really love. that's yeah. Then the improvisation part. When I studied in Belgium, I had also a subject called practical harmony, that basically meant the jazz vibes. And I mean, you have to play a bass line and chords and then solo on it. And my teacher over there always said that sing in your head what are you playing. And sometimes in the improvisation part, I felt that it's not. I mean, you're not singing like partly. Partly it was absolutely good, but it's just sometimes very random strokes coming out of nowhere, and it's sort of ruins a groove for me a tiny bit. And it actually says that it should be groove-oriented improvisation, so really, really groovy. That doesn't mean that you can't play very complex rhythms. That's also absolutely fine, but just sing it in your head, and then it's a better way. Then, I mean, that's a question of taste, absolutely. But to use a marimba in that section, I mean, it is fine, but I think if I would use it, I would use some kind of chord or note progression from the previous parts that are that people can recognize. I think that would add one very cool layer if you want to use marimba. I mean, the beginning when I heard it, it was fine, but then the last two notes like da-da, and then it was like, whoa, what was that? That was my feeling about the marimba usage in the groove. So, and yeah, the end. Maybe I would still build it up even more towards the last note. So yeah, I mean, I was very specific and very like bar by bar almost, but in general, I mean, fantastic job. These are just minor details I noticed, but I mean, you may do those or may not. That's, I mean, absolutely up to you. But these are just few of the recommendations I just saw from your performance. So congratulations, really fantastic job. Yeah.
Thank you. I appreciate it. A lot of the comments you said, like you said, they might be small, but they'll definitely make a huge difference. I can already feel and have ideas going in my mind to implement.
That's great to hear. Yeah.
These are great things. We appreciate it. And that was also a live performance. So also,
yeah, I noticed.
But that's what we wanted. So we want to get, the best feedback from a live performance. That was
absolutely. That's always that's always good thing to have if you have a live performance, because I mean, when you're on live, it's always something happens, and the energy is totally different, and sometimes you're a bit nervous, but these are sort of like the pure things that we are facing every day if we are performing, and therefore it's nice to actually have these kind of videos. I would actually I think it would be necessary in all the competitions we are having right now in the world that these are live performances, because there are hundreds, maybe thousands of players who actually maybe record it 10 times, 20 times, 100 times, and etc. until it's, wow, now it was once that it was perfect. And I think it's more or less wrong in that sense. So maybe it's something to really consider, that it has to be a live performance with the audience if you send some kind of video to competition as well. But yeah, all of your videos were live performances, so I really appreciated it. It was nice to see how do you actually perform, and how is it going on stage. So great. Any questions?
Yeah, awesome. I was gonna say, Ryan, do you have any questions for Heigo?
I do. You mentioned a lot of great things about how to get kind of working towards the next phrase and the next idea, building towards that bass drum hit. We tried a couple things. I was just wondering if you had any ideas of maybe a few different tactics you use. We've tried, singing and a couple different things. But what tactics do you use to help, phrase towards another section, especially with another person?
Well, I had one. I think it was back 2009. It was one Polish professor, and we played Taira's Hierophony number 5, and we had 1 week for that. Do you know the piece? It's a sextet. I really recommend checking it out. I can actually send you a video afterwards. I have it recorded. It was one of my first doctoral concerts as well. And back then, I was first year bachelor student. I mean, hadn't seen these kind of scores never before, and I was, wow, it's very graphical, and then he came and he said, well, first like 3 days you don't need any instruments. And I was totally blown away, like, how ever are we going to perform it? So, and basically what we did was that sometimes there were time signatures, sometimes not. But basically there were two possibilities. One possibility, what we did all together as a sextet, was that we clapped the beats, let's say it's 4/4, and then we actually sang the rhythm. So why did you do that? What was the purpose? Was that you actually could see and notice with who are you together with, and you could really say, oh, over there we are in unison with him, and over there with her, and etc. And then the opposite way, we had to say like 1, 2, 3, 4 with their mouth, and then clap your rhythm. If it's very fast, you can do it on your legs. If it's a bit slower, then you can actually clap it just with your hands. And then just one day before we actually got to the instruments, and it was absolutely together. And I was so blown away of that concept. Like, how the hell did it work? I mean, now I totally understand it, and it works really well, and I do it with my students all the time as well. And I asked about it, and I mean, guys from Eastern Europe, he answered that, well, if you take your hands off, or if you cut them off, then your head still works. But I mean, if you cut your head off, your hands do nothing. So that was what his answer, and the point is that you have to do all the work with your head first, and then go behind the instrument. So mark in everything. Where are you together? Where are you not? And then where is the phrase? Then another phrasing thing, what I really use is that. I mean, if you are a wind player, wind instrument player, or if you are a singer, the phrase is as long as you can breathe. That's it. And as percussionists and pianists and string instrument players, we tend to really forget it, that we have to take a breath. Sometimes for my students, I just say that, I mean, people in the audience unconsciously, actually, they breathe together with you. And if you don't have any place to breathe, then some of the old ladies might just faint. So I mean, in a way, it's a joke, but in another way, it's actually true. People actually do breathe together with us. And as far as you make a phrase together with the breaths, then it works absolutely perfectly. You can do breaths even in Reich, even if it just goes. But I mean, singers, they still can do it, even if it just goes. Wind players, exactly the same. So yeah, to really build up a phrase and go from one to another, just breathe. And to be really together as well, if you breathe together, you will be together. I'm absolutely sure of that.
Amazing advice.
Yeah, I mean, that's
sometimes we gotta remind ourselves to just breathe. Sometimes, but
yeah,
amazing.
And to be together, there is one Estonian bassoon player who actually lives in US. For I think 20 plus years already. World famous soloist Martin Kuuskman. And we are great friends, and we were talking about in one session we did in one youth orchestra. We were coaches over there, and there were all the time problems with rhythm, and he's absolutely fantastic with all rhythm wise. And it's quite rare in a way. And he actually told that, yeah, the most important word in music is and. It means 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. And if you put a metronome on those ands all the time, the 1, like that, then the thing is that you have to really be in a precise place. If it's on beat, then you're actually facing a problem, because you can do everything in between and still be on beat. But if you are putting the metronome actually on upbeat, then you can't do all those slides in rhythm. You really have to be there, because you have to really adjust yourself that you are there. And that's what I'm actually doing all the time, and it works really, really good. So, I mean, if you practice as one as well, take parts of it and really put the metronome on upbeat and then play with it. And if you haven't done this kind of work, I mean, first 4 bars you are you are blown away at first, and then when you get used to it, then you realize that wow, it opens up a totally new world for yourself, actually, for everybody.
Wow. Such great advice, and such an amazing performance from Ryan and Andrew. Another round of applause for them.
Yeah, absolutely.
Coach, I know that how difficult that piece is, so absolutely enjoyed your performance. Cool.
Thank you.
Well, there's nothing else for this first piece. We can maybe move on to our second piece on the program, which is a performance by yours truly of a Sarabande from a violin partita from Bach. But first, I wanted to address a question that was asked from Teddy Percussion. I'll put it on the screen. It reads, what are the advantages of hitting in the center of an accidental bar and hitting on the edge, and which do you recommend? So, Heigo, do you have any advice for what where you're replacing the mallet, maybe how often you're using the edge, or something along the lines of that?
Well, it depends on the piece, to be fairly honest.
Right.
I know that's not the question right now, but when it's more rhythmical things, especially in the bass line, I actually use quite. I mean, I use a place on a bar which is quite near to the chord. Not on the chord, but it's between center and the chord.
Right.
In the bass part, I use center really not that often, to be fairly honest. I like the overtone colors much more if it's not totally in the center. On the accidentals, I use the sort of center part as much as possible, but I mean, sometimes it's so fast that you actually don't have time to go there. But the difficult part is to really hit on the edge, because, well, let's say that's a marimba part, and where are my fingers? That's the chord place. So the main problem is that if we hit it, then the mallet head is that big that we think that, okay, that's the now we hit it in the edge. But the problem is that it doesn't sound from there, so we actually should hit it over there. It's a fairly known thing, but there are not that many people in the world who actually do that. So advantages and disadvantages. I mean, if you hit in the right place, it sounds so much the same.
Right.
Not maybe 100%, but maybe 98% the same. So that actually audience can't really make the difference of it. But you really have to play in the right place.
Yeah, I feel like as a player, we always we take that little edge part of a bar, which I thought I had one on me, but we always aim for right below that note to put that mallet. But in reality, we should be pulling back a little further to get that very edge, just because all that's the sound difference, like you were talking about, major.
Yeah. I had a masterclass with Emmanuel Chechornet back in 2010 or 11, I don't remember exactly, and he actually told us to go to not stand in front of the instrument, but actually on the side, so you can really tell where is the mallet. And he said that, okay, I'm standing in front, check it out. I put it in a place where you think it should be. And then we went on the side and everybody saw it. It's in the wrong place actually, because it's too close to the chord. So we should actually come,
It's crazy how the sound can be affected from just a couple.
Yeah, it's a big effect. And if you go for the edge, if you have really fast piece and you have to go towards the edge, then really practice it slowly, that you actually hit in the right place, and then build it up from there.
Right. Yeah. So hopefully that answers your question, Teddy. I know we kind of went off for a little bit, but it's, there's not a right answer of whether you should hit in the center or the edge, but whatever it calls for the music and what you think is best artistically. So
Yeah.
thank you for that question. And now we can move on to some Bach. Before, just I guess for you, Heigo, I've been on here before for a different artist, but my name is Hunter Gross. I'm based in Oklahoma City, Oklahoma, in the States right now, and I'm a freelance percussionist. I teach at a university, and just kind of getting my way through the solo percussion realm of going to audition for doctorate school next year, and from there, just kind of see what happens artistically. But yeah, we can. I have a Sarabande from Bach's Second Violin Partita for you. Really love this movement, and hope you enjoy it. See if this works. Alrighty. Awesome. There it is. It is out there for the world to see now.
Bravo.
But yeah, no. If you want to take us away, have your kind of same amount of time and everything. So go for it.
Yes. Well, the first thing about Bach, what I feel is that as many people as are listening, there are as many comments as well. It's always with Bach. It's really tricky because I've had many master classes. I mean, with Pius Cheng and all my different teachers, and I have played like the same Bach sometimes for different teachers, and every single time the sort of the answers I get are very different. So I'm just giving you my ideas, and then you can decide what I'm going to do with those. So,
right.
so
Yeah. I
it's
mean,
just
Bach
one
is
version.
so. Yeah.
Yeah. And we are playing it on marimba anyway, so it's
Right.
different.
Doing our
Anyways, the first thing I would probably recommend is a tiny bit heavier mallet, just to bring out the bass line even a bit more. I mean, it sounds beautiful, but
just a little more in the low end.
Just a little more. I mean, I really love bass lines, and I mean,
Right.
I'm Mallet artist, and the bass on Mallet is really like bassy, and the main tone is really big, and yeah, I just love it. It's a matter of taste, of course, but just that's just how it is. So I'm going again bar by bar. I mean, I have. It's as you can see, it's all red. Doesn't
Right.
mean it was bad, but I'm just saying all the things I noticed, and then
No, of course.
we'll see. So the second bar, second beat. The melody is actually an A, right? And I would just bring it out a tiny bit more, so that the G is just underlined over there. And then the next bar. Really be careful with the bass line, D, C, B, and then it goes to E flat as well. So D, C, B flat, E flat. So really that it goes, that there is a sort of a dominant, and then it solution actually to E flat in
Right.
that case. Then the last bar of the first line. These 30-second notes over there, I think they're a tiny bit too sudden. I mean, even tiny bit like what's the correct word?
Like just in terms of how fast that it goes by.
And fast as well, but they are just like oh my god, I have to check out the word.
No, you're fine.
Yeah,
You're fine. No, I think I understand what you're saying a little bit.
Yeah. So basically, just like it's too sudden. You're just like behind the core, and you're making like boo. You frighten someone. That's
Right.
how I think about that. So it should just go a tiny bit softer, just towards something. And this towards something is actually. And the question is it like a melody, or actually is it like an underlined sort of harmony line over there? That's also a question you should actually answer for yourself, what you're going to do with it. Because if you see this trill over there, which is G and F sharp, usually it actually, the solution is into G, right?
Yes.
Over there, it actually goes to B flat next bar. In a way, so that's the question. I actually think that this is sort of underlining harmony line over there. So it just leads to the B actually. So if you would sing, it's just la ma.
Gotcha.
Or actually, I'm singing it wrong. It should be minor. I'm sorry, but anyways,
Close enough.
Close enough, exactly.
Yeah, so just leading to that
Yes,
second line,
the B flat. Yes, exactly.
Kind of swing over it almost.
Yeah. The next bar 6, the C, or actually it's A over there. I'm so used that these things are in bass key.
Right. Yeah.
Sorry.
I've made that mistake so many times before reading the
Yeah, no worries. So anyways, this C over there, you should think it in your head a tiny bit longer. So it's like la, so the main thing is actually A to D. That's the line. And this C sharp is just to lead towards D. So you think la, la. That's the main line. And then the C sharp just helps you out to go to the la,
Out there, yeah.
yes. And then you have the G, F, E, D bass line. Really do something with it so that it's a nice phrase. Da, bim, bom, bom.
Just kind of contrast to that. Yeah.
Yeah, then this tremolo, the last bar of second line. I understand why you do it, and it's good, but when you do it, think like you are playing, like you would play piano, for example, and without the tremolo. So if you push it down, then it's like la, it fades away. That's exactly the same what you should do with your tremolo as well.
Gotcha. So have it speak
even more
in the beginning and then.
Yes. I don't really remember right now. It's just I don't remember. Kuniko Kato was the lady who actually plays fantastic marimba and especially Bach. And she did these kind of things really nicely, that she actually hit the notes, and then the tremolo's almost not recognizable, but it was there, and it just sustained a bit longer the note that it would naturally do.
Oh, wow.
That was really fantastic idea, and it worked really good. So if you can do something like that, that I think you would be amazed yourself as well. And then, of course, the E is the most important note over there. La, do, do, do.
Right.
And then this 2 8 notes and quarter is just, I mean, just a harmonic line in a way. Then Baroque pieces usually, when a part was repeated, usually something different was done with it. Of course, back in the old days, they added some trills and maybe a tiny bit different tempo and things. So you can actually do that.
Okay.
So don't play exactly the same, but just it can be a little bit moving more, or even slower sometimes. Why not? So really try and see what works for you.
Okay.
So if there is a repeating part, then what does it say over here? Oh yeah, that's towards that. So third line, actually, I have nothing. But bar 12, when you have this first melody line like G, then again, da, 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 ba, it should lead towards the B flat. La, ba, ba, da. Yeah, really go towards that with those two D and C. There are even like marcato markings on it, so you can really go la, bi, da, ba. Even sort of stretch it out a tiny bit, and then it will make it even better than it was. So bar 13, the bass line over there. Really play the bass for yourself a few times just alone, because right now it sort of I mean, it has to accompany the melody line, but right now it was too much in front in my taste.
Okay.
So of course you should make a line out of it, and it's totally fine, but just a tiny bit maybe lessened, and if you phrase it out, then it will be fine. Then trill, and then you have G, D, E flat, B flat, C. Again, think like you have a trill, then G, E flat, C is the main line. So it's a minor chord in C minor. And then those D and B flat, they just help to lead towards this note. So these are the main notes. So therefore, you have like a 3 layers in this small bar actually, and it works really really nicely if you can actually hear those 3 layers out. And then you have ding dong bom bom. I'm singing random notes, of course.
Right. No,
but
I'm
that's
following
the
you.
yeah.
Do you think
And-
there's any significance in that bar of, I just noticed this, but the bass notes are actually eighth notes instead of the typical quarter note. Do you think that's significant at all, or maybe just a manuscript?
I would recommend take the facsimile out, the original handwriting one, and then you'll see what's written over there. It can be transcription thing. It can be original, but I think in the original they are actually quarter notes over there. I don't think that they are 8 notes.
Right.
But who knows? Yeah, you just have to check. I don't know it by heart.
Yeah, that'd be something I'll have to check, because that just kind of stuck out to me, because before it's always just been quarters with the eighth notes over it. But interesting. Sorry, but yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, no worries.
Keep going. This is great.
So bar 15, the first note, or actually the bass line. Let's take the bass line. It's C, B flat, and D, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the D is sort of, you can even think it's like the underlayer bass, because the normal line would be C, B, and A in that bar. So the B comes actually as a dominant to G,
Okay.
which is in the next, just to have a dominant over there.
Right.
And then the question is where's the melody and where's the harmony again? I would actually think that actually E flat, D, and C make another layer. La da da. It's again like going down like that, like the bass line, and then actually the melody line is D, C, C, B, and G, F sharp, and G, and then you have a solution. And probably that's your marking this bracket over there. Yes. So that ends it up. So then you have a second, as you have written. That's absolutely correct. Perfect. Then these 30-second notes over there,
right.
you should just a bit softer.
Okay.
Right now it's too, even a bit too metronomical and too precise, even, I would say. Make a line out of it. So don't play it very percussively. We have a tendency to go really percussive as a percussionist, which is understandable. But in that place, I would really recommend. Yeah, really go towards that. Then next line. Oh, and sorry, I forgot one thing. Bar 16.
Yes.
When you end up with this G up over there, and the second sort of part starts, as you have written for yourself as well, don't start it too early. That has to be like, you end up la da dee da 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 da, and boom. It gives you sort of like, you end up in tonic, or actually it's not tonic, it's actually dominant.
Right.
In a way, but you're in new tonality. And you just show that, okay, this is the new tonality, and you actually confirm it with the bass. So it's actually
right, that same note twice.
And then actually the new part starts from this 30 seconds, I would say, even.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So in a way, it's one beat too early. The second part that's written for you in your case. So it's like long, and now new thing. Yeah.
Gotcha. It's just a totally different note. Yeah.
Yeah. Then next line, 19, bar 19. Again, bass line. So I have G, C sharp, E. Very important to bring it out. And also melody line. Very important to go towards the F over there. And then the next bar 20, it's also transcription thing, but actually I think it's correct. If you take Bach facsimile, it's not written like that over there, I'm pretty sure.
Okay.
He didn't write almost any slurs, to be fairly honest.
Right.
No, and also almost no like dynamics or anything. Probably they just knew how to play it.
Right. It was
I
just
think
kind of the
back then.
the
Yeah.
effect of
But
it.
I mean, slurs over there are you have one big slur, which sort of means legato, I think, of the 16ths.
Mhm.
But then you have a second one, which shows the first 3 notes, right?
Right.
So I think how you should think is actually that always the last 16 of this group is sort of a bass line. So you have A, D, and A.
Oh, yes.
That leads to B flat on the next bar. And
Right.
then dee da da, dee da da, da da da. It's like a sequencer, right?
Mhm.
So really make a phrase la da da, dee da da, dee da da, bo da da, bo da. That it really works in 2 layers. You can even actually think in 3 layers if you want to. You can think that no, not in that way. I think 2 layers is enough. It works better. Yeah.
Gotcha.
So yeah, and then part 22. I have actually circled the G over there, but the question is why. Oh, I know why. Because of the bass line B A G. You should really think towards G over there.
Oh, I see, from the previous
B,
measure.
A, and G. You are back in G like you were actually in bar 16, where you actually showed the new tonality over there.
Right.
And then bar 23. Where's the melody line? Do you have the score right now?
Yes.
So bar 23, where is the melody in your opinion?
Almost, it's kind of not the ends of the 16 note groupings, but after the slur, those like that first 2 note slurs, so
Yes.
and then the F and the E.
Yes,
C.
exactly. So E, G, F, E, and D.
Mm-hmm.
That's your melody line. So you really should play it. You can play it in rhythm. Da 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 bam bam.
Right.
So that's your melody, and everything else should actually support it.
That's gonna be the harmony behind it. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. And then the first volta towards bar 25, you should actually think the D, not only 3 16 notes, but actually the whole bar that leads to the next bar of E.
Ah, I see.
Yes, so that's your melody in a way. The everything else is actually, I mean, it builds up sort of a new line, but it's sort of a harmony line. But you should think the and E. That's the.
Gotcha.
And then comes a trill on C sharp D, and then it goes to the repeat. That ends up in D again, D major actually, almost. Yeah, it's sort of mixolydian. Yes, and then exactly the same thing if you are going to the second volta is exactly the same, like the line is the same, E, G, F, E, and D. And then in the second volta, I also think that it's not the melody line over there. It's
Right.
D, and then comes with a new line next bar 26 from D again. And there really build out all those seconds. Sometimes when I sing it, I actually even take a slight da 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 to really bring them out. Of course, on marimba it doesn't sound like that, and it shouldn't sound like that. And even if I would play it on a cello, probably I wouldn't play like that. But if you sing it, then you are doing rhythmically something a tiny bit different, and it actually brings it out for the audience as well, that you think of it, and then actually people can really hear it.
Mm-hmm.
So that it really goes towards D over there. And then bar 27, I have actually written absolutely beautiful, that you actually make it that it comes from B, and all the line comes, you think, actually from the B, and that's fantastic. I don't know, do you actually think like this? But as far as I actually heard it, then I hope you do, because
Awesome.
it sounds like that. Yeah.
No, I think that's exactly my intention. So it's awesome to hear.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
That's really.
Yeah, well, and kind of going off of like interpretation, I know for whenever I was being taught, how do you play Bach? That's a very large question. How do you play Bach on marimba? And there's no right answer. I was taught when thinking about these slur markings, which when you look at the facsimile, there's not too many in his music. I was always taught, because we think about a cello or a violin playing, that first note that they play of whatever slur is going to be slightly more as they go through most of the time. So as a marimbist, we kind of have to treat it to where, like, I think of like measure 5, for example. We have that long phrase, dee da 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 da, like where the beginning of that phrase marking starts, the phrase kind of falls into it. Does that make sense? So either through velocity and volume, and then same thing for anytime there's the dia dia dia, just thinking about someone bowing and what that's going to sound like. That's kind of been my approach with a lot
absolutely fine approach. Yeah, and I mean, last 2 bars exactly the same, like so it's
right.
And really those 30-second notes, don't play them too fast. Rather bring them out. I mean, it's the end of the piece, and you can even make a slight ritenuto or rallentando over there just to bring it long.
Yep.
Yeah. Just to show again that we are back in D minor. That's the bass, basically. You could end up with the last note only, but he gives the bass as well, that we are in D minor. That's for sure now. Like before, we were in G minor. So
we kind of go all over. You go to many different tonalities in this.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's. But I mean, these are just my few ideas. I hope there was something to catch from that. I mean, like I said, there is no really a correct way to do that, because firstly, we're playing it on marimba, and even cellists themselves are sort of fighting, like, how is the correct way to play it. And I remember probably until I died, when I had a masterclass with Pius Cheng, and he told that he really worked with all those Bach things, and also together with, I don't remember who the cellist was, but he really worked with him and for months, and in the end, where it sort of got somewhere, then he actually asked that, well, does it sound like authentic now? And the answer was, absolutely not. You are playing it on marimba. so that's what we are.
We can try as much as we can.
Yeah, absolutely. But I mean, we have to make our own version. And I mean, Bach is played on whatever instrument. I mean, I've heard fantastic Bach on tuba, for example. I mean, it's not written for tuba, but I mean, as far as it sounds nice, then I think you can play it on one instrument, and of course you can't play it very like contemporary and very romantic, even in a way, but in a bad sense romantic. But I think actually Bach was also quite romantic guy in his time. Of course, not as romantic as Chopin and Liszt and these guys, but But in a way, I think he was quite romantic in that sense.
There's some type of love and passion in his music.
Absolutely.
That
So
you can absolutely compare. So
yeah, we can't do too many tempo changes and too
Yeah.
sudden changes, but if we build it up and if we do lines and phrases and things, then I think we can be romantic in that sense.
Yeah, that was something I learned from my previous teacher, Andrea Vinay. She would always talk to me about Bach is it can't just be random. It can't be slowing down
no.
and speeding up. It
No,
has to.
no, yeah.
There has to be somewhat of a time to it. Obviously, you could take some time here, or take not as much time here in certain areas, but there still has to be somewhat of a beat going throughout the whole thing. And I always love asking these people, do you believe if Bach had a 5-octave marimba at the time, that he would write for marimba?
I think so. I'm pretty sure.
I think so as well.
Yeah.
And
it's too beautifully sounding instrument not to write for it. So
right.
I think absolutely he would have written.
Beautiful.
We would have many more concertos like by Mozart and etc. So yeah.
Right. Well, and I love there's the duo Bach. I think it might be a Cymbalom transcription. I don't remember which concerto it is, but it's for duo from marimba, and I love it. It works so well with an orchestra. So
yeah. And I mean, Evelyn Glennie has played Vivaldi, and it sounds absolutely fantastic. So
yes, so hopefully we'll see more marimba playing Bach or something on the stage soon. Around. But awesome. Well, thank you so much for all these comments. This is my page is black with pencil markings now. So
I'm glad to hear.
So awesome. Well, and with that, we can move on to our last piece, bringing back Ryan. Let's see here. There we go. Ryan is back. How you doing, Ryan?
Doing well, thank you. Very well played, Hunter. That was great. I really enjoyed
so much.
That.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
It's one of my favorite works for in all of the partitas. It's one of my favorite movements from it. So awesome. But up next, we have a piece that I love as well, Senior Mouse. And Ryan, do you want to talk about this a little bit since this is your solo piece? I believe this is just you, right?
Correct. Yeah. So this piece is done with myself and a friend that I did my undergraduate degree with in Utah, and we ended up coming back together at the same school, so we wanted to do a piece together. So my friend's playing the piano and I'm doing the vibraphone part. What we did with Senior Mouse is we took a transcription, listening and writing it down, wanted to play it as close to Chick Corea and Gary Burton as we could for the majority of it. And it was from the version of the 1973 recording on the album Crystal Silence. So the earlier first known recording that they put on album with it.
Legendary album. Well, here we go. Some Senior Mouse. Bravo, Ryan.
Bravo.
Amazing. Love that recording. Well, take us away, Heigo, and I'll pop back whenever it's time to wrap up.
Yes, absolutely. Well, really great job. So few overall things. If I listen to it, I feel it actually as a samba in a way, rhythm-wise. Even though you're actually playing it a bit slower than Chick Corea and Gary Burton did, I listened to their recording as well. It was live in Tokyo in YouTube, so I checked it out as well. But that's okay. It doesn't have to be that long, but still really feel this samba feeling. Can you actually dance samba? Do you know the steps? You don't. You should check it out.
I don't, but that is a very good thing I want to learn. So
yeah, if you do know the steps, you actually get the feeling as well how it should sound in this samba feeling. So I would really, even if you would just go in YouTube and check samba steps, the basic stuff, and then you see that it's really this jumpy feeling you have to have all the time. And I would really recommend actually adding this sort of jumpy samba feeling in that piece as well. The groove would change totally right away. I mean, it's great right now, but then it would be even better. And then the second overall thing is that you improvised here quite a lot, right?
yes, so the second time through, it's still a work in progress. I didn't get a chance to finish transcribing note for note his solo. And of course, going from memory in a performance live situation, there was a couple moments where I added some stuff.
That's absolutely fine. That's absolutely fine. I would just write in, improvise it, and that's it. Transcription as well.
Perfect.
It's absolutely fine. But especially if you are actually accompanying a pianist during his solo, then sometimes I sort of felt that, especially if you change the rhythm somehow. I mean, I mean, if that one, if you do that, absolutely fine. You are very nicely accompanying him. He can do whatever he wants. But if you sort of start to change the rhythm, some chord progression, or in the end you actually took over, it was I can tell the place as well. So just try around like bar 300 in your score or something like that. You sort of take over his solo, and if you actually check his face expressions as well, he's like, "Whoa, where are you going?" So you sort of take it over with enthusiasm, which is fine, but you are just sort of running away, and he really has to catch you in order to actually stay together. So be really careful with those things, and also when you're just accompanying and you change the rhythm, be really precise with the groove, because I mean he can do basically whatever he wants. He can play with rhythm and some polyrhythmic things even, and etc. And therefore the underlayer background story or background theme or background rhythm has to be really, really precise, because otherwise you're both gone, and that might end up really badly in some live versions. So really be really in the rhythm, and even over there, really just think of samba, and then you'll get it. Even if you add something, it's fantastic that you add something, that it's not like da 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 all the time. It's really good that you actually do something different in the same chord progression, but or in the same chord line. But yeah, be careful with the rhythm. That's actually the main story to tell. Then from bar 8, I would think as a really, really, really long melody line until actually bar 19. It's sort of in the overall thing, it actually comes down with that line.
Okay.
So I would really recommend actually thinking it as the whole big line. And then what comes after that, bar 20 and 21, etc., that's sort of like an interlude, right? So it should have a bit different feeling as well. Maybe not so in front, but sort of like a second layer in a way. And then 36 comes a melody again, and then 37, this counter line with this A flat, D flat, A flat, D flat, E flat. You should think the A flat high above, and then come under it. The first part was fine, but the ending was a tiny bit too loud for me. The second time you do it somewhere in the end, I think, it comes back right. There it's fantastic, absolutely fantastic. But over here, I felt it's like too much in front. You should still think about the A flat and then go on with that. Yeah, just a minor detail. Bar like 58, 59. Really think about the high voice over there. E flat D, the sort of like chromatic line, right? It is more or less chromatic. The end is not, but so really bring out the chromatic line, what is high above, and then the other line is underneath it. Yours are sort of like quite equal, and in a way, the lower one even comes out a tiny bit more, I would say, because I mean naturally the bars on the lower side sound just better or longer, and even tiny bit louder, I would say. So really think towards the higher line, and then bar 61. Again, first time when you did it, the bass line, the G over there, dun 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 dun. It should be like a rhythmical bass line, right? Just the background, just basically to give the samba feeling. Yeah, okay. You could do it with the bass drum as well. Just add one. But for me, the first time, the second time you did it in the end, some part, that was absolutely fantastic. But the first time it felt like it's part of the melody. I know you didn't do it on purpose, but that's how it felt. So really think it as a rhythmical bass line, like you would have like, I don't know, a bass guitar with you or a double bass. So that kind of feeling totally. You can I don't know, you can even sometimes do it with slight like dampening, something like that. I mean, you can search for it. Then 66 towards 69. That's the melody line. You have to think that you end up in 69. Was it 69? Yeah, the E over there. No, actually it's 70. Wait. Yeah, sort of. Actually, it's 70, the C over there. So really think it as a one long line. Yeah, that would. And then I have written the only once. I actually checked your pedaling in one playthrough as well. I listened to it, I don't know how many times. So every time I checked different things, so that I have something to tell you. Because I mean, overall, it was really great. So bar 71, check out your pedaling over there, really, because for me it's too much pedal over there. Da di da 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 da. So those the last 8 note of 71 is fine, but just those 8 notes, it's a tiny bit too blurry, I would say.
So are you talking about measure 70? Those 8th notes.
71.
71 leading in. Okay.
Yes.
And
then there, after that, it's great. Then 76 should lead to 77. And then you come down and build it up again towards 83. And every time you have this thing of 83, I think it's 2 or 3 times during the piece. 2, I think. Was it? Yeah. So every time you actually play it, you sort of build, and then when you get to this 83, it's softer. and that's a bit awkward in my sense and of feeling. So really, that you really go towards this high note, and then you come da-da-da-bum, bum, bum. So you have really nice line with that. So yeah, start to build it up from the end of 79 like you do. That's beautiful, and you build, and then towards the 83. And then you go again with and actually I have written in 84 that it should be a solution in a way, so a tiny bit softer and not that important. The important one is the B over there, and then you go and then it's rhythm again, and then you go on like you do. It's great. So then there were the solos, which are good, and actually, yeah, 131. I have written the bass is great now. that was the problem before. So that's really nice. Bar 134. I have written that the line that comes starts with A flat in the bass.
Mm-hmm.
You should really think like I told in Bach before that it should feel like overtone line. It's not overtone line in that sense, but you should think of it like it comes from the bass towards this C flat. Yeah, if you think like that, it gives it much more legato and yeah, just another color. Yeah, again, in 143, just build up to 146, this high C note over there. And then you come down again, and then again, the same thing like before, that you build it up towards 152, this B over there. So exactly the same thing. Yeah, solo is good. Aha. In it's 189. Yes. I mean, it's not written in the score, but I think you played in unison with the piano, right?
Yes.
Yes, which is fine. But really, when you start this sort of background thing, because then comes piano solo, right? Yes. So really look at him as well and breathe together with him so that you're totally together. Because yeah, the beginning of it was a tiny bit off. You catched him, of course, really almost momentarily, but just to be together, it's just much easier in that sense. And then 2, 3, 1 with those long notes. Try to make like one line out of them as well. Dun, 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 dun. So it's really one phrase. And then, yeah, 2, 4, 1, I have actually written super. That's really good. I really love that place. Very nicely together, very well phrased. Yeah, rhythmically as well. Fantastic. Yeah, and then you have twice the same problem. The bar is 257. The same thing comes actually in the end, right? The D and C sharp. Really look at each other and make an agreement about the tempo as well, because you sort of slowed down over there, made some ritenuto or rallentando sort of thing. He didn't. And also in the end was exactly the same. So you were a tiny bit later. And I mean, you really don't have to watch the C sharp. You can actually watch him. And then therefore you are absolutely together. Because I mean, you have 2 beats in order to go on. And either you do a ritenuto or you don't. Still, just look at him, especially in the end. Because if the last note is a tiny bit off, then it's yeah, it's okay, but it should be together. And just look at each other and you're absolutely together. Yes, these things and then 3-2-2. The thing you are doing when you start together again, you are sort of nodding with your head, and you show tiny bit with your hands. You just take the upbeat, sort of like a conductor does, the Auftakt, like they call it. But really just breathe. If you breathe in tempo, he will catch you right away, and probably he will breathe together with you. And therefore, it's just easier to be together, to start again. Because, I mean, there is a long note before. In order to be synced, like in two people to be synced, it's really difficult. I mean, it's 6 beats. Should be able to do that, but I mean, during the performance, you might have, okay, what comes next, or some ideas, or whatever else. So just look at each other, da 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 da, and then you're totally together. So yeah, that's one key in order to play together. And yeah, last thing I have written is again the bar before last bar, this D and C sharp. Just look at each other, because you have plenty of time to look and plenty of time to end up the piece anyways. So, but otherwise, I mean, fantastic performance, and really congratulations. It's not an easy piece. Yeah.
Thank you.
And really nice transcription as well. So
thank you. I really appreciate it. That's a lot of great feedback. This is going to help this piece immensely. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm glad I could help somehow. I mean, you are professionals. Yeah,
we appreciate you. Heigo.
But it's just to have sometimes to have second opinions, even if you are already 40, 50, just to play to somebody and just to have a second opinion. That's why we are here. So just a few ideas.
You're never too old to keep learning.
No, absolutely not. Yeah.
But no, yes, Ryan, your performance is beautiful. I'm glad we watched the whole thing, because I love that album. I've listened to the album for years, and I thoroughly enjoy it, and your transcription was awesome. So bravo on an amazing performance, Ryan. Well, that's all the performances we have today, Heigo, but I'd love just to ask a few questions, and
absolutely,
if anyone on the chat or whatever has any more questions. But if not, we can kind of wrap this up. But my first question I have for you is, I know you're really into fitness and doing a lot of martial arts. Do you have any tips or advice for percussionists to stay healthy behind the keyboard, or staying healthy behind the drum set, or multi-setup, whatever they're doing, whether that's a warm-up or whatever you think?
Actually, I have the whole clinic for it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. When we were on tour with WBG, I actually made a clinic out of it. The whole thing, how to stay healthy behind the instrument, and how to actually use all those techniques I have learned during the years behind the percussion. And it's some of them are really physical exercises, some of them are actually sort of thinking exercises. So through the video, it's really difficult to actually show you those. I should be there, and some of them are with a partner, or those exercises, just to get the right feeling of it. And I've also done like 3 years of Alexander technique. I don't know, have you heard about it?
Yes, I think so.
Yeah. So over there as well, it's sort of thinking in directions of in your body, sort of.
Mm-hmm.
And therefore you sort of make yourself stronger by that.
Okay.
And everything gets right in place again. I mean, maybe you can be more specific with your question, and then I can answer to it with some sort of really. I mean, do you have any kind of problems? It hurts somewhere or something like that. Maybe I can help that way, because I mean, it would take at least an hour to show you all those things I did in a clinic.
Right.
And,
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. You don't have to go through every single
yeah,
point on
yeah,
that. I
yeah.
think, I
So
mean, for me personally, I'd love just to hear what your, obviously we warm up through playing and stuff, but I'd love to hear any stretches for your hand specifically, maybe, something you do prior to playing a very busy marimba solo or duo or something, just to get your body ready. Or if it's just simply warming up, then I'd love to hear just some details behind that as well.
Well, when I learned in, I mean, there are many possibilities, of course. When I learned in Denmark with Henrik Knapper Larsen, I don't know, do you know him or not?
Oh yeah.
He has done Ki Aikido for years, and he actually has worked in percussion playing in Ki Aikido sense, and that was actually one reason I went to study with him, because I had done the same thing with karate, and we could share some ideas. And we had one session actually to warm up, just to close your eyes and think of your different body parts. And at first I was a bit skeptical of that. That's
right.
Well, what's that? But actually, after the session, I mean, I think we did the session about half an hour or something like that. And I mean, I felt so warm from everywhere that
wow.
It was absolutely amazing. So, but I mean, there are a few exercises that I do really recommend doing, and one main problem we are facing is that, I mean, we play marimba or we play vibraphone or xylophone or these kind of instruments, or even snares, we actually tend to look down, and therefore round shoulders may become an issue. What I'm talking about is this. So the shoulder is not in the right place, but actually it gets down like that.
I see.
So for that, there is a really nice exercise that you should stand up, but I'm sitting right now because otherwise I'm off from the camera. But I mean, you should go up with your hands, and then you should come down so that your hand is next to your hip, totally, not backwards, not in front, but totally against your hip.
Okay.
Hand straight, and your palms should face up until the end. So
okay.
I just stand up so you can see it. So you go down, and you actually end up like this. And now if you turn, yes, that's correct. Now if you turn your hands, that is the correct place for your shoulder.
Oh wow. Okay. That's interesting.
Yeah, and usually it actually feels very wrong place. But if you do this exercise a few times, it actually helps you to place back your shoulders in a correct place. Then I mean, there are so many exercises, but one.
No, that's great. No,
yeah, but few exercises more. What I do for the wrists, like stretches, are that if you put your hands forward and you take one of your hands, it's just, let's take inwards right now, and then you put your palm, your thumb in the palm, and then you pull the pinky towards your nose, just a tiny bit. And this elbow has to stay that way, so a tiny bit down. So you feel the stretch, and as far as you feel the stretch, don't overdo it. Then you go down again, and then you go up again towards your nose, and then down to your belly, and again. So you sort of make a circular movement. So you just tiny bit stretch it, and as far as you feel the stretch, then you already are done with that. So don't overdo that, because otherwise you just break yourself. And the other one is actually just the other way around. So before we went that way, and now we actually do the opposite. So we go palm facing to the other side, and then the fingers actually go under and in the palm as well. And now you go also towards the nose, but now you go straight down to your belly and now straight forward. So like this. And then you should feel the stretch. And as far as you feel the stretch, you go back to your nose. And then down again, and then straight forward. So you should, the thing is, before we did this side, and now we did that side. So there are two sides to stretch. And that's really, really helpful in order to not, I mean, wrists are consistent. If I remember correctly, like 32 bones or something, the small ones.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, there are nerves in between and etc. So just to stretch them really out so that there is space in between, and all those salts that are between all the ligaments and things that can happen, they are just flowing away.
Gotcha.
And therefore you have really flexible wrists. So yeah, I mean,
amazing.
I could do it for hours.
Right.
This exercise, but I mean, to really work with it, I need to come to you personally, really, to show all the things. I just was in Latvia and I did this session, and I mean, they really loved it, and some of the exercises are going to blow your mind, really, because it's so easy in a way, but it just works. And
well, I saw that Tim posted on here. He said that your clinic is in the video vault, so I'm definitely gonna check that out now. And
is it?
I think.
But how? That's the question. Because then when we did it, all the video material got actually stolen. So I don't know how is it over there. But
yeah, or maybe he was talking about this. Or does Tim, you want to chime in here for a second? Oh, hold on, you're muted. Let me get you. There you go.
Sorry. Yeah, you might be right, actually, Heigo. So maybe I didn't for that because they did get stolen. So I'll have a route round in a bit, but hopefully I can find something. But I have a feeling you might well be right on that.
I think I am right. Yeah.
Yeah. Unfortunate then. Jeez, sorry to hear that. But yes, nevertheless, that really, really good. I'm gonna use those and teach those stretches now. So, but Ryan, do you have a question or anything else you want to ask Heigo here?
Actually, I have one more thing to say about.
Oh yes, go for it.
About the thing. Just to illustrate this, if I mean, Hunter, if we would fight right now, and I would just push you, then which way should you actually go in order not to fall down?
To not fall down, I should try to go forward.
Yes, exactly. You are going towards me.
Right.
Now, the main problem we are facing as musicians in general, it doesn't have to be percussion, is that we have quite heavy bags. I mean, if we take like a bag full of mallets, then it's quite many kilograms. Right. So the natural reaction towards that is actually to bring up your shoulders, because the bag pulls us down with all this weight, and like the pushing, your normal reaction is actually go back towards me or lean forward, otherwise you fall down. Exactly the same is with the bag. It pushes us down. Our first reaction is, okay, I have to bring it up.
Right.
It's enough. I mean, 1 millimeter is enough to actually get tension over here.
Oh, wow.
On your shoulder and on your back over here, and shoulder bones, and however these things are all called. And usually if you have a pain in your wrist or in your elbow, or sometimes even in your finger, usually it starts from here.
Oh, wow.
The problem is actually here, not in here. And as far as you actually just think your shoulders down, especially if you have a rucksack, I really recommend it. If you have a bag with just a strap, then I would recommend it wear like this, because then you have the whole body actually supporting it. Otherwise, I mean, I had one student a few years ago. She was a young lady. Of course, she had to bring all her makeup and everything all the time with her. And suddenly she actually came to me and said, okay, I can't play anymore. because it's just too painful. And I noticed that, okay, she has a back, probably she has a problem with one of her shoulders. And I asked her to close her eyes and just stand straight, like she feels straight. And actually, her difference between her shoulders was almost 10 centimeters. So it was basically
wow.
And actually, she wear the shoulder on that shoulder, or the back on that shoulder, because she pulls it up all the time. Therefore, there was so much tense that it was so painful that she actually couldn't hold the sticks. So we really worked on that, and of course some physiotherapy and massages, and she actually got much better and played on.
That's
and
awesome.
She almost had a surgery, actually, carpal canal thing, however it's called in English, but hopefully you get what I'm thinking. But it was cancelled because we actually got it much better. So
that's great that it's got better, because obviously that's something we don't think about often, because we always have heavy backpacks with so many books and we're walking everywhere.
Just thinking, you have to really think your shoulders one, because if you have a rucksack, it doesn't go anywhere.
Right.
It really does not. It just stays in the same place. So there is really no reason to pull your shoulders up. Right. So that's one really, really, really important thing to think in order to last really long in your career.
Wow.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Wow.
Okay, Ryan, you had a question. I'm sorry, I interrupted you before.
You're good. You keep giving great information. I'm happy if you ever step in. I was just about to say that I wrote down the same thing as Hunter. Ask health and wellness, because I'm really into that. So you covered a lot of it. That's great. I would now wonder if that you could answer a quick question. I know we're getting short on time, but since you answered the physical side of like this health and wellness, I was wondering if you have changed anything in your life, nutrition, sleep wise, to help yourself, and anything you'd recommend for someone else on kind of that nutrition, getting rest type of side.
Well, rest is important anyways. In that sense, I think I don't have anything to recommend especially. Of course, I do look what do I eat, and I try to sleep well. But right now I have 1-year-old at home, so it's it doesn't happen sometimes.
Right. Well, maybe along the lines of before a concert or an event, do you eat differently before like a big performance or a competition, or what is kind of your rundown there?
Before a really important concert or a competition, or I don't do competitions that much anymore, but back then when I did, then I have a really strict regime to really, when do I wake up, what do I eat, drink as much as possible, and especially water, and when the performance day is there, then I usually go out for a walk just before the performance. It sort of, at least for me, it clears up your mind so well, especially when it's somewhere in the nature or not that much in the center of the city. But even then, you can go in a park and really breathe the air in. For me, it helps a lot, because usually the concert halls are quite with quite bad air. You can really feel it, and if you can really clear your mind with and full of fresh air, then usually it works pretty well. I do have a pre-concert sort of like how's it called in English?
Like a ritual, or
like a ritual. Yeah, it's correct word. So I do have that as well, but I don't know how much does it help anyone else than besides me. So
right. No, I totally understand that. We'd love to hear it, obviously, if you want to share.
I always take time in my soloist room
Right.
to really be alone with myself, and I usually actually meditate a bit, but not sort of in a silence, but I do some breathing exercises together with that,
Okay.
just to get my heartbeat really on a normal level, that it's not really bursting out or too fast, or that actually calms my nerves really well. I have also in my clinic, I had many exercises for that, and they really do work. So yeah,
Gotcha.
I need to come to you and show those
Right.
those things.
Exactly.
So, just to calm myself down, that breathing is normal, heart rate is normal, and then I go on stage and just have fun. I checked Anna's Elton clinic as well just a few weeks ago, and yeah, you were talking about also like practice things and
Right.
and few things I'm thinking thoughts, that what I usually tell to my students as well, that in a practice room, be as critical as possible, like every minor detail, and when you get on stage, just forget anything and just play. Because if you have prepared well, then usually the outcome is great. I mean, of course, some things happen, and you might have a blackout for, usually it's 2 seconds. You feel it's 5 minutes, but actually it's 2 seconds, and you go on, and nobody even understands. But usually, especially with students, the problem is that they are really critical on stage. And sometimes they come off that, everything was bad, and but actually, if you face yourself and think that, okay, but why was it bad? Did you have a bad day? But usually, if you practice well and correctly, then even on your bad day, you perform very well. So be really critical in your practice room.
Wow.
And of course, there are lots of techniques how to practice, and yeah, we can go there as well if you want to. But yeah, the main thing, be really, really, really critical in your practice room.
Right. Well, that's such good advice, because we tend, like you said, to be very critical of ourselves on stage, and the many times, even myself, I've caught myself going off stage just like, I should have prepared better. And just knowing that in the process while it's happening is kind of difficult sometimes, but that's some amazing advice. But we don't want to take too much of your time. I know we're getting close to 2 hours now, but it is really flown by, and it's been right, and it's been really eye-opening. And we've, for me personally, with the Bach and the other two pieces, it was really enjoyable. All your comments were really eye-opening and really thoughtful. So
thank you.
I really appreciate everything you said. And if Tim, if you have anything to add on that, I know you were kind of in and out, but it was quite amazing. Oh, hold on, I think you're muted. Try one more time.
There we go. Let's try that now.
You're back.
I'm back. No, I was just saying I feel a bit of a fraud because I'm just chiming in at the end. But yeah, I think certainly from touring with you, Heigo, like one of the biggest things I learned from you was like posture, and just sort of assessing the way that I approach the instrument has massively changed like since then. So thank you for that.
I'm really glad to hear that.
Yeah, no, it has. And I'll tell you one thing that I've become really conscious of, and particularly recently because I'm doing more of it, is driving. Like with the steering wheel and the posture, it's so easy just to sort of like slip into
very
it.
Easy.
Yeah. So
and afterwards you're in pain.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, why did this happen to me?
And then once you've got out your car, then you've got to go and like play, which is basically the same posture. So you're consistently the same all the time. So yeah, for that I thank you. I do, because it's really changed the way that I think about playing the instruments. So
more than welcome. Absolutely.
Yeah, no, it's brilliant. As I say, I'm going to watch this later. But guys, if you've got any parting questions, I'm sure Heigo sounds like he's all right to stick for a minute. So
absolutely.
Right. I guess for me, for your career, I would say, let's say maybe the past 5 years. I know because of COVID, everything kind of changed. But what are your project goals right now? I know you say you have a 1-year-old, so obviously that's probably a big goal in your life. But I'd love to hear just what you're doing artistically and what your kind of what direction you're heading.
Well, I have always headed towards the solo career and ensemble playing. I also occasionally do play in the orchestra, but not that much. I mean, my nature is sort of like I get a bit too nervous in the orchestra if I have to be there week after week and just count breaks and pauses. It's it's not something for me. I really want to be in action in that sense. And I really love working and preparing and really usually or so very often I'm actually taking like too difficult stuff even just to bite through it in a way. But what's going on right now? The new trio is coming up. We are making. A Baltic percussion trio, one guy from each Baltic state, Estonia, Lithuania, and Latvia. Oh, wow. That's a new thing. First performance is going to be in July. That's sort of a new thing. Then next year, I already know that I'm playing 2 concertos with the orchestra. One is Raudavaara's concerto.
Oh, wow.
And then again, Erkki Sven Dür's 4th Symphony, which I really recommend checking out. I mean, if you give me your email address, I can send you my version of it even if you want to. But I mean, there is Evelyn Glennie's recording in somewhere in the internet as well, I'm sure.
I'd love that.
I really recommend checking this piece out because it's absolutely fantastic. That's actually the one I did my, or actually I do my or research in my doctorate as well.
Okay.
Piece. So it's getting more and more fantastic every single day when I do research on it. So
you learn as you learn with it and grow with it. It totally changes.
So next year when I graduate my PhD, then I can actually play and perform it as well after all this research I've done during 4 years. So that's absolutely fantastic news for me right now. So what else? Yeah, otherwise solo stuff. And right now when Corona is more or less over, then actually you can go abroad as well and you can just broaden yourself up again. Because before Corona it was, I played in Leipzig with Leipzig Radio Orchestra a few times and in Baltic states. And I mean, boards were open. So I also had one concert in Carnegie Hall, Will Recital Hall. That was fantastic experience.
Oh, wow.
Really amazing hall. You can be as soft as you want it. Still the last row, we can hear you. And I mean,
and did you play in the recital hall or the main?
The Wheel Recital Hall, yes.
Oh yeah, the recital hall is beautiful.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. So probably now it starts to get there again. So
just trying to work your way back into all.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, but I mean, everybody had the same thing, so I'm no exception in that sense. So
no, that's awesome.
Just working and working.
Amazing. Well, Ryan, do you have anything last leaving comments, or Tim, do you have anything?
No, I just Brian, go for it.
I was wondering what you do for inspiration, whether it's to keep going musically. I know a lot of people are getting kind of burnt out these days and they have a hard time wanting to continue going on. So I was wondering what you do to look for motivation or inspiration.
Basically, I'm just in a flow. I don't need any inspiration for myself. But I mean, of course, we have good days and bad days. Everybody has them. But,
right.
But I mean, sort of, music just lives in a way. And if you are not taking it every day like extremely serious. Of course, you have to be very critical in the room, like I told before. But I mean, sometimes you just have to enjoy it. And what I have noticed myself, that I have to have some easy things in my program as well, not only the hardest stuff in the world, because that's really easy to burn out then. If you only practice and practice and practice, and then, I don't know, after a few months you can play like maybe one page and you should be happy, but you have like 20 pages to go. Then it gets really frustrating. But of course, there are different practice techniques to overcome that as well. But sort of, if you have really a lot of stuff going on, for example, after the first wave of Corona in Estonia, at least, all the concerts that were cancelled were going on after that first run right away. All of them that were cancelled before the half of the year or even more. And therefore, I thought I'm going crazy, because I had like 7 different programs going on right at the same time. Of course, I had practiced them before. But what I noticed during that time is that if you think too much on that thing, that how much things do you have actually, you already lose time. Right. And you already lose concentration. Therefore, I stopped and I just went towards the goal, and I did everything, and everything was fine. And I had time for my family, and I had time for everything, even for chess. So, right. I mean, I have always had lots of things going on since the whole like basic school and middle school and secondary school and high school, etc. And I'm used to that, but I have noticed that if you think too much on that, how many things you actually have going on, then you already lose time and concentration. And if you don't have time, don't do that. Just make a plan, go through with it, and then you are there.
Yeah, great. Well, all I will say is, if you've got a 1-year-old and you're managing to do chess tournaments, you've either got a very understanding partner,
absolutely,
or you're just amazing at managing your time, or both.
I do have a really amazing partner. I do have. Yeah, I'm lucky.
All right. Fabulous. Well, thank you so much, Heigo, for joining us tonight.
Thank you, guys.
I know that it's been great for the guys. Also, I didn't say this earlier, but I should have done. Thank you to Ryan as well, because this is your debut WPG outing. So,
whoa, congrats!
Thank you to Ryan. Sorry about that. And also Andrew as well, of course, who can't be with us, but hopefully he'll be back soon. So. Brilliant. So without further ado, I'll wrap up the stream. Next week, same time, same place, we'll be with Simon Klasov from Slovenia next week. So we'll be zooming into Slovenia, and he'll be offering some words of advice. But until then, thank you very much. And as ever, see you soon.